Sangam here, super excited. We always love to get a customer in the office because they're gonna tell us how they're doing their things when it comes to ABM. And a lot of people have this question around what is ABM 1.0 and what is ABM 2.0. So I got over here with me Daniel. Daniel, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
All right, man. Okay, so let's just talk about what does Phononic do, and then just using the team framework, what are you guys doing to get in front of the right people? What is the biggest challenge that you're solving?
Sure, so Phononic is a startup that's been around for about 10 years, and we're bringing a new thermoelectric platform to the world, which kind of changes the way thermoelectronics work, which for those who don't know about the science of thermoelectronics, really we're bringing solid state cooling into existence, which changes or potentially changes how many things that you know today are cooled, from being compressor based or other alternatives to something that's much more energy efficient, much more sustainable, much more environmentally friendly, which is solid state cooling. So that's what Phononic is doing, and we're basically trying to reinvent or change the way that the world cools things.
All right, so how do you use the team framework to do these incredible things?
Yeah, so one of the things I wanted to try to approach here is, the crawl, walk, run. And so when you think about team, starting with target, one of the first things that I hear from people is, they just can't get started because they don't know where to target. And a lot of marketers traditionally have a hard time getting in front of sales, which, if you read, everything you read on ABM is, hey, have a good target account list, work with sales, but sometimes it's not so easy to work with sales. So, I'm not necessarily saying that was my case, but what I found was, if you just start, let's just say with top 100 accounts from whatever segment you're after, and in like a specific example I had, I literally just Googled top 100 convenience stores, got a PDF, OCR'd it, and turned it into account list. You're gonna take that 100 accounts, and you might see after 20 or 30 days or so, you might see, 25 of those accounts engaged. So you're gonna go over to your sales team, and you're gonna say, sales team, I got these 25 accounts. And they're gonna be like, that is great, those are not the right 25 accounts. And that starts the conversation of, hey, what are the 25 right accounts? So that takes you from crawling to running. And then if you really wanna be doing it right, it's not just what are the 25 accounts, this is something I really learned. It's also, what are the departments of those accounts that you need, that the sales guy cares about? In department 1, 2, and 3. And so if you think about how the sales team operates today, they have a contact today. Let's say in department 1, they have a contact. But in department 2, they don't have a contact. In department 3, they have a contact. Well, marketing and Terminus ABM can bring this other department that they don't have any visibility to, can make that happen. And so then you start getting into, engage. And for me, engage is basically mix. And if you've been doing marketing for a long time, I'm sure you have your favorite tactics, and you might be running email, you might be running a call campaign, you might be thinking about running Terminus ABM as a tactic. But what happens when you start running those all together in the same mix is you get a lot of noise, and you don't benefit from everything that account-based strategy can actually give you. So what I'm suggesting is that, it's okay to start that way, and it's fine to run that way, but if you take that and you go to Target or Terminus at ABM, and you run that for the life of the campaign, and then you layer on your email, and you maybe drop that 2 weeks later, and then you layer on your calling, and you drop that right at the end of it, and you get that conversion. What I found is Terminus positively influences the conversion rates all along the way and gets a lot more efficiency out of the tactics that you're gonna run. So it just changes it from being more of a tactical approach to more of a strategic approach in how you're gonna run that for that life, which is just something kind of naturally evolves from it. It kind of takes you into activate. And activate for me, when I'm thinking about that, I'm actually thinking about output and optimized output. And so, as marketers, we're trying to maximize output. Traditionally, you think about raw leads, you think about MQLs, you think about SQLs, and that's not necessarily wrong, but volume-based metrics like that is not, that's where you start to see a lot of pushback from sales, because you're like, okay, what is a raw lead really? Or just because marketing says that's not a qualified lead. And so what I found with running Terminus ABM is these metrics start to shift. And instead of it being raw, marketing qualified, and sales qualified, you start seeing account. And you start seeing at that account, what kind of engagement am I getting in the departments? And you start seeing, how many unique visitors am I getting to my site? And you start going back to sales, and what you start delivering to them is insights. And And with those insights, what you're really trying to deliver is you're trying to activate, which is the A, you're trying to activate that account and activate your sales team. And in specific examples, what you start finding is, you know, where they previously had a lot of engagement in whatever department and they just haven't been able to get into whatever other department, you start to see spikes in those departments and you can start feeding back to your sales team, hey, this account that you've been after forever, these departments are starting to engage and they know it's time to re-engage that account. So your activation becomes much less transactional and much more informative and insightful for the sales team. So if you move on from activate and you get into measure, this really becomes metrics. And for me, you know, 2018 was the first year I really ran ABM for the whole year. And coming into 2019, I haven't seen a bigger shift in metrics than what I have seen coming into 2019. And traditionally, from a marketing perspective, you might be tracking, you know, some of these volume-based metrics as well, but you're also going to be looking at things like click-through rate. You're going to be looking at things like CPL, and those are the kinds of metrics you typically were trying to compare your Terminus ABM against, right? You're trying to say, well, what's my click-through rate compared to any other tactic, or what's my cost per lead compared to any other tactic? And I'm not saying you shouldn't do that because it's important for you to understand that, but what I found is that once we started getting into it, it became less about click-through rate and CPL, and it became more about understanding things like, you know, how many unique visitors am I getting on my site, and how long are they staying on my site, and from which departments are they coming from? And it became much more of a story of how's that department engaging, and also what are they engaging with? And so these metrics became much more about, you know, how many unique respondents am I getting, and how well is that account engaging. And then what you would do with that, or what you start to learn from that, is your sales cycle starts to shorten. Because traditionally, let's say the account learns about your business and your sales team is engaging them, and you're improving the engagement organically within that account, what used to be hurdles internally because maybe they had to go to a value analysis committee or maybe they had to get purchasing approval. Well, if you start getting your message in front of those audiences back to, you know, your different departments, and you start bringing them along with you, the time it takes for you to engage that account and get those departments up to an understanding, you start to help that evangelist who's evangelizing your product or their account, help them move that along faster. And we've seen, you know, in some cases where cycles were taking like 9 months, you can see them take like 1 month. And so it's very important. So it kind of ties it all back together, you know, with really just understanding like how sales is even trying to approach it, and what is sales even trying to get out of it, and how can you actually create impact for your sales team.
Dude, that's awesome. You just walked through what most would consider ABM 2.0. A lot of people have been thinking about it super static, but this is you're running your business on the entire platform.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been very exciting. It's been a lot of fun, and it's been a lot of fun for many of us. You know, not only the demand generator, but the product marketing people. They love getting the insights, and the sales team love getting the insights. It's just been a very interesting exercise for us to go through, and it's been very transformative.
Well, thank you so much, man. Super appreciate it.
Thank you.